Hello everyone. So we're back again with another episode of KIIT Gupshup with Abhishek Mojumdar. He pumped out in 2016 as in computer science branch. He worked in Ericsson, then he worked in Quicker, and now he's working in Dell as software engineer. So I promise I welcome him today on board.
Hi guys. Thank you.
So first we would like to start knowing you from your initial stage. Like, tell us about your schooling and did you had computer science in your school and what was your aspirations when you were in school?
Right. So guys, I am from Jamshedpur. So uh, I had done my schooling from a school called Rajendra Vidyalaya. So yeah, I had PCMC as my 11 and 12, just physics, chemistry, maths, and computers. Never thought that I would be a computer engineer. Outside the world of engineering, the electronics and telecommunication seemed very flashy. And then I thought that yeah, we should go for electronics and telecommunication. And then IIT JEE happened, and then AIEEE happened. I'm beautifully flunked in that. So the next thing that was in my bucket was KIT. So I had heard about the computer science department of KIT, so it's good enough. So I thought, why not? So when there, luckily did not take the electronics and telecommunication because I never passed subjects with more than C or D grade. So yeah, it was a boon in disguise that I went for computer science and engineering, and as time went by, I started liking the subject. So yeah, that was pretty much it, my journey.
So as you say that you were more interested in telecommunication and these kind of stuff. So you never liked coding and all stuff, like you were never interested in coding things?
Yeah, back in school, so we were coding in Java. So
Mhm.
back in school, it was quite fun, coding and all, but never thought of taking it up professionally because I did not see computer science as a serious subject at that point of time. Maybe 2012 was not the time where I was that much exposed with the world. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, anyways, then in college, also I did not code a lot, but then again, certain subjects actually interested me. Uh, Surprisingly enough, none of the coding subjects interested me except data structures. Algorithms just went, and there were subjects like operating system and networking. Those were pretty interesting subjects which actually kept me in the hang of engineering. So yeah, not so much, but then again, happened.
Okay, so then would you like to brief us about your college life year-wise? Like, how was your experience in your first year and then second, third, fourth year?
Right. So college life coming from a small town, like getting into an university like KIT with so much of exposure, you like get flabbergasted, like see a lot of things. So in the first year, the course was similar to what it was in 11th and 12th standard. And if you guys are from computer science engineering, I guess you guys are, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
yes. So you have got those programs in the first year called Armstrong number and then palindrome,
Mhm.
right? So those used to be quite easy at that point of time for me. So because I was from a computer science background, so yeah, the first year was quite fun. So it was mainly I used to go roam around the campus and see what is there and what is not. Try to get into the extra curricular activities as everyone tries to do. So yeah, that was one of the things. And then first year went by, second year came in, and then you all of a sudden get plunged into this huge world of data structures, databases, and those were quite new things. I was overwhelmed from like these subjects. Started to study a little, and then after a certain point of time, I thought, yeah, it's not gonna happen. It's not my cup of tea. So then again, as it happens in colleges, right? You just study 2 or 3 days before the exams, and then you try to pass it.
Yeah,
And yeah, that was pretty much it. like got a nominal 7.5 point as an average. And then because also the senior said that you keep 7.5 and you'll be good enough to sit for the placements and all. I was like, okay, fine. So I kept that nominal 7.5. Third year came in, got those subjects as in as I was telling, operating systems and networking. That really gave me the hang of it, like, yeah, what is going on inside the computer system. So anyways, we are not working with those things at this point of time in our careers, but then again, those are what I feel was very insightful subjects. And then again, pointer was the same. And then luckily, the placement time came in, and there was like Deloitte was the dream company at our time. So people used to say that go for Deloitte and all. And I used to be good in public speaking and all. I was not very well versed in the technical stuff. Did not do a lot of competitive coding. Not a lot of did not never did a competitive coding. So thought, yeah, I should go for Deloitte and all, because I was a public speaker and all. So sat for Deloitte. Funny story. At the last round of Deloitte, my personal interview, this guy asks me what are you good at? So I was said that, yeah, I like operating systems, databases, and a little bit of C coding. And then he asked some very basic questions of databases, as in some select star from or some joining the tables. And I was okay, I don't know this. I am a little rusty in this. So he said that, okay, what else are you good at? So I say that, yeah, see. So I used to do MUNs a lot, Model United Nations, if you know, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I did a lot of MUNs. So I was like, yeah, I am good in convincing people, and because I have done MUNs. I have convinced so many students from so many countries. Never knew that corporate game was a very very different ball game. So he was sitting there on the table, took up the sharpener, threw at me, and told me that, sell it. So I was like, okay, like, okay. Tried a lot. Some of my arguments were convincing, some were not. And then this guy gives me a very peculiar instance. Says, so my arguments were basically in and around, uh, if you have a pencil, you can sharpen it. If you have that, then if you have a pencil, you can sharpen it and write and draw and whatnot. So what he said was, suppose there is no commodity called a pencil. Now, how will you sell me the sharpener? Now that put me in a fix. Like, then I went in a negative direction, which I would say never do that in your interviews. Do not go for the negative direction. Always think about productive solutions. However, he said that sharpener is a commodity which is dependent upon another commodity, which is the pencil. If you remove the pencil, how are you going to sell the sharpener? I just said him like, he was a guy with a little not very dense hair. So I was like, how are you going to sell a brill cream to a bald guy? So it was I don't know, like, I did not mean him, but yeah. So I think that he may got offended a little, but yeah, then again, it's okay. So he said that I liked my enthusiasm, but then again he said me, think for productive solutions. You have got kajal sticks and all. You can
Yeah,
use pencils
exactly.
yeah, you can use
I was
pencils
thinking that.
yeah, yeah. So that was a good learning process. And
Yeah.
then what happened after fourth year was a bit of turmoil. After Deloitte went, I was like, मेरे को तो आता नहीं कुछ coding, अब मैं क्या करेगा, अब मेरा कहाँ placement होगा. But at the end of the day, I understood that there is no shortcut to success. You have to study. At the end of the day, पहले पढ़ लो बाद में पढ़ लो, कभी ना कभी पढ़ना पड़ेगा. So I started studying. Did not obviously could not cover all the subjects. Made one of the subjects as my you know uh, uh, core area of competency. Started taking up C and data structures. So started studying those, and then did not sit for Amazon because I was too depressed and too below confidence to sit in a company for like that. Then as my seniors told that, yeah, it keep 7.5 and you'll be allowed to sit in companies. Did not happen. Kept 7.5, maximum companies cutoff was 8. So could not sit for another 3 or 4 companies. Then Ericsson came in. And then yeah, by God's grace and a little mehnat, cracked Ericsson, and then got selected, and then the fourth year went by. So that's
Okay.
pretty much.
So, so do you think that coding takes a major role in placements and all?
Depends upon what is your choice of company you want to be in. All right, it's see, what I would say that yeah, extracurriculars and all are very good and all, but if you have come to a college doing engineering, you have an agenda in mind, right? That you want to be an engineer, right? So you should be good in something which is related to engineering, right? If being a computer science engineer, I would say like if you are aiming for technical companies where you are aiming for some good salary to get in into, then yes, coding is absolutely important. But if you are, um, aiming for some companies which are consultants based or sales based, or your interest in that way, I am not saying that's not a good thing or good area to venture into. Absolutely, those are good areas. Then you should also try to upskill yourself in that area, right? So yeah, coding is important for the technical areas, but yeah, not always. Depends upon your interest.
Okay, so you are telling about coding for technical companies. So there's a big dilemma in the mind of students for present day that what they can't decide they should be coding more or working on development fields more, like doing some stuff like web development or studying ML and stuff. So what they should be doing, like practicing for competitive coding or studying these things.
See, things like machine learning, or maybe an artificial intelligence, or maybe a big data or Hadoop, etc., etc. These seem to be very superfluous, like very flashy from the outside world, right? uh, Obviously these are things which you can venture into, but these things need a lot of use cases. And you cannot do a machine learning coding, or you cannot venture into machine learning or artificial intelligence until unless you have that much of data set to play with, right? So I would say like, mm, if you are interested into development, uh, then you should do development as a hobby. But until unless you are strong in your basics and core, it does not really matter like what are you doing in the development. As in, you can do a lot of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Yeah, that is important in day to day's life, but your core concepts, your logics should be strong enough. I'm not saying you should be absolutely amazing in graph theory, or hash maps, or Dijkstra's algorithm. You should not be like fluent in those, but yeah, if you are given a problem statement, you should be able to think about it and be able to have a solution of it. Maybe not in a coded format, but at least in an algorithmic format. You should know the steps. How are you going to approach them? Right? Yeah, and coming to your competitive coding question, if you are aiming for, again, depends upon strictly how are you aiming for companies. If you are aiming for companies like maybe Microsoft, Walmart, Facebook, Amazon, and whatnot. What else? Maybe at not Think and Learn, ThoughtWorks. So these companies actually uh, look into how is your data structures concept, how is your data algorithms concept, right? So for those things, you need to code a lot, you need to understand a lot, and you need to do some practical coding such that you don't flunk in front of these guys. But in companies, say suppose SAP, or maybe say Dell per se, or maybe Ericsson, or maybe Quicker, right? No, in Quicker also they look a lot on the focus a lot on the data structures and algorithms. But yeah, if you are going for these companies, yeah, your logic should be strong, right? So it depends what companies are you aiming at. Obviously, if you have a background of development, that is going to give you a little edge on anything. But whatever you are developing at this point of time is not on the standards of the corporate industry, right? So obviously you will get a lot more exposure when you go into the corporate. But obviously, if you have some experience in React JS, maybe Angular JS, Java, Spring, anything, that will give you a little edge on everyone else. So depends. What is your interest?
You said that you grew interest in networking and OS side. So why didn't you explore more in networking side? Like, did you find that no networking has no options further, or was it something else which interested you?
Nothing interested me at that point of time. At that point of time, when the placement started, right? Once you get rejected, it's like the first and foremost thing that comes into your mind is, भाड़ में जैसा मेरे को पहले जॉब चाहिए, उसके बाद इंटरेस्ट देख लेंगे. So सबसे पहले that's the thing. You get the job, and then if something interests you, obviously pursue that. Some have something in your bag and then pursue your interest. Obviously, at that point of time, uh, that time period of 1 or 2 months. So उसके बाद, but then again, that's a different story. When how I got interested in front end development. That's a different story.
So, web development was not in your college days, like you got into it after college?
I did not know how to write HTML, CSS at that time. It's so in Ericsson, what happened was we were called for internships. So at least from my placement experience, I came to know that I know nothing, know shit about this. So the only way I'm going to learn about things once I get some exposure about the real work, what's going on in the world, right? So I was placed in Ericsson Noida. So I was called there February 2016. February 2016, I entered there, and then we are introduced to our managers and all, and then we are said that अब तुमको एक internal application बनाना है. Internal application as in so there are applications which you sell to the market, and there are applications you make for the internal use of the company, right? So एक internal application बनाना है, which is a conference room booking system. Seems very easy. बोला हाँ ठीक है, बन जाएगा, कौन सा बड़ा बात है, पढ़ना ही तो है, ठीक है चलो. एंड देन we were given a mock up मतलब तुमको क्या डिजाइन चाहिए, क्या डिजाइन है उसके हिसाब से. So we were given that, and we were said that कि जावा में बनाना है. I was like ठीक है, जावा बनाना, 11 12 से जावा पढ़ रहा हूँ, कितना बड़ा बात हो सकता है. अरे ठीक है. तो उसके बाद हम they say that we have to work in Spring and Hibernate. और है what? What is that? So I was like, okay, कोई idea नहीं है. And then they were like, कि, okay, and the obviously they were like, and obviously the front end has to be on JSP. फ्रंट एंड मतलब क्या चल रहा है, मतलब HTML HTML बनाना है, नहीं JSP में बनाना है. Like okay, now I have to study. So basically I started so first mock up that we gave to our CTO. So it was like not CTO, to our team manager. It was a simple HTML table. उसमें बहुत सारा room का नाम लिखा हुआ है, and that HTML table was red and green and blue, and HTML. So he said, यार CTO को दिखाओगे तो कंपनी से निकाल देगा पहला ही दिन. बोला ओके. अब क्या करना है. Then I did not even know what is Bootstrap and all. If someone of you has a background of web development, you must know what is Bootstrap.
Yeah.
I didn't know what is Bootstrap. And then one of our mentors came in. Ina ma'am, her name was Ina ma'am, very sweet lady. And then she came in, and then she downloaded that Bootstrap sorry, CSS and JavaScript, and then put in some class in the HTML file, and suddenly it looks so beautiful. It's like, oh. Then I was like, okay, this is the thing that can be done. So I started working, and then I actually uh, have spent a lot of nights working up and going through YouTube tutorials and videos, and finally got a hang of it. I started as a front end developer, and then I went back into back end as in Java, Spring, uh, MVC, and then Hibernate. Then came back to front end because front end is like सब कुछ दिख रहा है, हाँ change होते हुए दिख रहा है. So I was like, हाँ ज़्यादा interesting है, let me take it. So yeah, from there I got the hang of it, and अभी कर रहे हैं, मजा आ रहा है.
Okay, so we have lots of technical stuff. Let's have some college memories back. So, did you have
Yeah,
any society which you were in back in college days? Were you into any society and all?
I was a lot into extracurriculars, but I did not. If people are from KIIT are saying I will be bashed for this, I did not believe in societies. Yeah. So So because I don't know, I had my strange sense of something because in my initial days I had seen a lot of politics and also I was like, yeah, thoda dur रहना है. I was into MUN, as in Modern United Nations. There is a society, was a society, I don't know, MUNSOC, MUN, yeah, so MUSOC. So the founding members, as in Soumya Basu and Arghya Basu, Snehadeep Kayal, we used to do a lot of MNs together. I went to one or two sessions. Also, from my hostel, the rugby ground was too far, so I was again like, I didn't go there. So I guess, however, did not go to the societies, but took participation in a lot of things in MN around the country. And yeah, those were one of those things which got me into politics.
Okay, so now if you would like to tell like you were in erection as a intern and then you went to Quicker and then to Dell. So how was the journey? And how should, like, if someone is placed in a company like TCS or any other mass recruiter, then how should he move from that situation to a product based company and any higher level better company?
See, there are two-folds answer to this. First is that once you get into the company, you should understand what is your next goal. Do you want to go for higher studies or do you want to get into the hierarchy of the corporate system? If you want to go for the higher studies, then it's better that you start studying, be in the company you are in, and start studying and go for the higher studies, maybe an MBA, GRE, GMAT, anything. If you're interested in the technical work and if you're interested to get into the technical hierarchy or maybe the corporate hierarchy, maybe in any way, then the first 2 years, I would say, in any company you are in, if you are a technical person, if you want to grow technically, the first agenda on your list should be learn from the peers, learn from anyone and everyone who is senior, junior, anyone, unlearn and learn a lot of things, right? Once you have learned these things, once you have that confidence that yes, I can do some work now, then target the companies that you want to be in and start giving interviews. First and second interviews, again, funny stories. So basically, I was in Ericsson. It was 2 years. The work was pretty good. The it was my third or fourth project. It was kind of a child of mine. We started working from scratch, and we had to build it into something globally. And we were getting recognition, but obviously in Ericsson the pay is less, so पैसा चाहिए तो switch करना पड़ेगा. So I started looking out for jobs as full stack developer. And then the first company I go for an interview is a company called Nucleus, small scale, not a mid range company back in Noida. And
So if you can put your mic closer.
hello,
Yeah.
am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So the first company I go for interview is this company called Nucleus, mid-range company, and its job profile was almost like mine. So it was like Java Spring Hibernate and Angular JS, HTML JavaScript. So I went there and he said कि क्या हो? I said कि full stack developer हूँ. Full stack developer मतलब क्या? I work in web development in end to end solutioning. Okay. So जावा में काम किया और हाँ काम किया है. So, and he was like कि ठीक है तो मेरे को बताओ Maven build cycle क्या होता है. And I had used Maven. Maven is basically a build tool which
Yeah.
helps to build the application. And build cycle क्या होता है. Never ever I ever thought about the Maven build cycle कि इसको पढ़ना भी होता है. राइट सो आई गेट ऑल मतलब ठीक है पहली बार सुन रहे नहीं पता तो कैसे करते हैं और कुछ नहीं करते एक्लिप्स में जाते हैं वहां पर एक फाइल होता है फाइल में जाके मेवन बोलते हैं मेवन करते हैं बिल्ड और क्लीन करते हैं मेरा मेवन बन जाता है और अच्छा 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 जाओ पढ़ के आओ तो ठीक है so then I started studying and then once you go for there is no shame in getting rejected in interviews because you learn a lot from that and you have a lot of questions related questions from that. So I got a question bank after getting rejected from 4 to 5 interviews. Then I studied about those, and then whenever I started giving interviews, I started getting selected. So yeah, and once I got into Quicker, I was like, okay, this is one of the companies that could satisfy whatever I need at this point of time. And then I went into Quicker, and then Quicker se Bangalore aaya, stayed in Quicker for a year and for a year, and then again started looking for companies. Also, it's very important that you, whatever peers you are working with, uh, as I have already said, do not keep ego in your mind. Whatever you have learned is good from your previous company, but you should always be open to listen to others कि क्या बोल रहे हैं, right? And then जो भी है, Quaker में I worked for a year and then started looking for jobs. Obviously, if you're a software engineer, at the end of the day, your dream is maybe a Google or a Facebook or maybe Amazon. Started giving interviews. Amazon, mein, gave an interview. Got rejected in the fourth round. It was disheartening, but then again, yeah, you should start studying again from the scratch. And then finally got selected in Dell. So I'm working in Dell now. So it's an iterative process.
Like you were telling that from you were giving interview for Amazon. So at that stage also, what they ask is competitive coding only.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
like if
competitive.
you are,
So I would say when you come into the industry for the first 3.5 years, 4 years, you are still a baby in the industry. Whatever projects you may have worked upon, obviously they count, because obviously that experience counts because you know how to deal with stuff. But what I believe, what I have experienced is what the industry is looking is how strong is your logical thinking, and how well can you translate that logical thinking into a language that the machine understands, right? So at the end of the day, that is what the code, right? So yeah. So my interview in Amazon was specific to web tech, as in the front end technology. So if you guys are in front end, so you must be knowing about things called JavaScript, jQuery, Angular, React, Vue, etc., etc. Right? So there are frameworks called Angular and React. So mine was purely on JavaScript, on which all these technologies are built upon. So if you say, as we did competitive coding or whatever coding in college in C, it is synonymous to that in front end, as in JavaScript.
yeah, yeah.
And we were given live coding session, like live coding interviews. Like guys know what is a carousel, as in when you go to Amazon, there is a banner that goes on, right? So I was asked to deliver, build and deliver a carousel within 45 minutes. So yeah, these
Wow.
are the kind of pressure
From
situations that you
scratch, you
from
build it
scratch,
so,
from scratch. So it seems very easy, right? When we use libraries and all that,
yeah.
yeah, just use it. But when you build it from scratch, then you understand what are the logics that you need, right? Basically, from college, if you guys build your logic and build your algorithm structures from now, anything in the future is going to be easy because everything revolves around that.
Okay, so we talk lots of about industry. What is the correct step we should take right now? Like we are proceeding to the third year. What do
Hmm.
you think should be our strategy for a better preparation and better facing of placement and all?
So if I
Like you are a perfect example for how to prepare for in a short time, like for any company.
Like,
So
yeah,
just
we are just
read
giving
that.
a 1 year span for the people who can, relate to you. So just tell us some tips and tricks.
right. So again, I would like, if I talk to you, Soumya, I would like ask, what is your interest? You have been 2 years in the college. You have been studying computer science and engineering. What is your interest? Can be technical, can be non-technical, anything.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, like similarly, I am into networking because I had this some course in college plus extra course also. So I'm into networking, and honestly, coding is not my cup of tea. What I think right now is. So I was just little worried about that part. That was I was
uh-huh.
asking, like how much
What
coding is
required?
necessary. Yeah.
And what about you, Abhinav?
So I am also into front end development, so nothing so specific in coding.
Okay. Right. So see, if you are into networking and if you are into front end development, so it's good for you guys that at this point of time in the fourth semester, you know that these things are interesting you, right? So what you need to do in this time when you have a little time in your hands, you need to research for companies who are actually looking for these kind of resources, right? If you want to venture into this area only, and also you have got a year in your hand, you can venture into other areas. But if you have absolutely made up your mind that I want to go for I want to go for front end technologies, or I want to go for networking, you should research in these areas, right? So for example, for networking, if you see a company like Intel, right,
Mhm.
or say Ericsson only, right? So these companies have actually made their products, right? So if you're looking for networking related jobs which are actually important for networking engineer, where you can learn a lot in networking, so you need to go for companies which are building products on that. As in, say, suppose Ericsson Sweden may be having some projects on networking. So if you want to learn these subjects which do not have so much jobs in India but may have jobs outside India, you need to look around. You need to, ask around. You need to build your network, right? And maybe if you get a chance in your placements in your in your fourth year, and such companies come, because no company is going to come for these profiles as a networking engineer, because they are just expecting GETs, which is graduate engineer trainees, right? Who have no knowledge about anything. They will come into the industry and they will learn from there. But if you have already learned from that, you need to think about those companies which need resources like you, right? Talking about front end development, see, the market of front end development is booming at this point of time, because each and every product which is going web based. So with the corona situation coming into place, you see a lot of a lot of industries are going upscale into online developers online, right? So which needs a lot of online development. And why I'm saying that front end uh, market is booming is because we are going to target a lot of people who are not very well versed with the computers. So what do they need? They need a good UX, good UI, which basically speaks to them, which basically you can understand while using. Because say your mother and father are using maybe an Amazon or maybe a Flipkart or maybe a Tata Click, they get confused, right? So it's our job as an me as a front end developer, if I'm talking, it's our job to make it easy for them, right? So that's why the, when the industries are coming onto this platform, so this is an industry which you can look up to. So there is a lot of yeah, opportunities to look forward to, and there are a lot of projects that you can take up on yourself. There is a lot of technologies which you can take up on yourself. You can make small projects, because front end development and front end engineering is something which is purely based on innovation and some of your ideas what you can show to the people, right? So yeah, you can, if you have some projects handy, if you show the recruiters, they will be absolutely happy to take you in. So there are two, yeah, this is a very good example, like two people into two very diverse kind of interests. So yeah, these are the areas you can.
Like the main question was about coding. Like in placement, like what I have heard is that there's the first round is kind of about coding. So you have to first qualify that, then you have to think about further rounds. So how does it go? How does it go? Is it like that? Or something?
Depends, again, depends on the company you are preparing for. Say suppose a Deloitte does not have coding tests.
Mhm.
Say Accenture or maybe a Wipro or maybe and if it is not TCS Code Vita, a TCS or maybe a Cognizant, they do not have coding tests. Ericsson does not have coding test. These guys only uh, mainly feature mainly focus on your English and logical reasoning and your uh, want, right? So as an AMCAD or CoCube test. Coding is really required if you are aiming for companies like Amazon or maybe a Microsoft, and those profiles, not for maybe a sales profile, maybe the SDE as in software development engineer. If you're aiming for those profiles, there you need coding, right? And obviously the college is doing a lot for you with companies coming in. But if you have your own interest and if you are trying to venture for companies outside in computer science engineering, we also have this great platforms called Hacker Earth and whatnot, the competitive coding platforms. So you can also get recruited from those platforms. programs also, right? See, you have got ample of opportunity. Coding is not absolutely necessary to get placed, but coding is a very is a it's a beautiful tool to get placed into great companies with good packages, right?
Okay, so at the end, if you would like to discuss some placement preparation strategies which you used.
Placement preparation strategies which I used was I told you, right, I was primarily I was very focused for Deloitte. So I did a lot of quant, a lot of English, and did not do LRDI too much. But yeah, like I balanced it out with quant and English. So, and then again, if you guys are not public speakers, or if you guys have a fright with the crowds, like if you are you have got fright with the stage fright where you cannot talk to people, you guys need to sit down and do a lot of group discussions. So in companies like Ericsson or maybe Deloitte, you have got group discussions, right? So a lot of people get rejected in that because they cannot put forward their points. Maybe they have got amazing points, beautiful pointers, but cannot put forward because they have this nervousness that what if I say in wrong English, what if the people who are sitting in front of me judge me? Does not matter. What matter is what are your points, what is substantial, right? So get that nervousness out of your system, start speaking even if you are wrong. In grammatically does not matter. And also it's not a race, right? So if Avinav gets placed and Soumya does not get placed, or vice versa, it does not mean that Soumya will not get placed, right? Or Abhinav will not get placed. It's basically a cumulative process where people need to support each other to get to the places. Do not race against each other, but support each other to reach somewhere, right? And suppose you three guys, Aditya, Abhinav, and Soumya, are going in a group discussion, and Abhinav speaks some random lines in English, but his points are good. Maybe you can write down your points, and at the end of the day, uh, correct him that yeah, these lines could be formulated with this. But on the other hand, also Abhinav has to be that person who can let in the criticism, right? Yeah, this was wrong, and I need to learn this. That's the process. Always the process. Learn and unlearn. So group discussions are one of the major things that you need to excel in, and then the personal interviews. I don't know if Cash Answer is there in Kit, still in
It's
Kit. Talk to him. Great guy. At least he has helped me a lot with my uh, CV and how should I present myself in personal interviews. Cash Cancer has sat along us nights out to see us get placed. So talk to him. Talk to these teachers. They are great support. Prachet sir, Abhishek sir, Cash sir, these guys like yeah, Prashit sir may thrash you a little bit someday or other day, but sometimes when you are feeling low, you can go and talk to him, and he will be a great morale support. So you can talk to these guys also. uh, uh, make a habit of reading, uh, as in suppose you go for group studies, and make a habit of reading about the current affairs if you are targeting the companies which are coming into placements, because there can be any topic on anything, and you will be asked to speak, so you should have substance to speak about, right? So that is another thing that I would say. And yeah, if you are again targeting for the technical companies, read a lot, practice a lot. You have got time, you have got a year. In 6 months people do wonders in dynamic programming, so there's a lot of time you can do. Yeah, you can go in this path. Prepare a little every day, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, you'll be good to go.
just last question from my side. Like during this time with quarantine and everything, people are not very focused right now. There's no motivation for them. And what do you think? Like these things would affect a lot. And some people do take courses. Some people are still striving for internships. How much will it matter later on? Like abhi is time pe kind of difficult for people to get it.
अभी इस टाइम पे कैसे तुम लोग किसको बोल रहे हो, मतलब एज इन फोर्थ ईयर, सॉरी फोर्थ सेमेस्टर्स और सिक्स सेमेस्टर्स?
like there used to be always a plan for summer break. Like last summer break we did some course, this summer break we thought we'll do some course or maybe go for internship. But as such, what I hear from everyone that it's kind of difficult to get in because everything is online and there's no motivation as such. So basically the part is motivation and getting into it.
Right, right. That is a major challenge that uh, you guys are what 2022 pass outs, right? 2022 you will be passing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2021 and 22 people are going to face this challenge a lot. So yeah, about the internships and all, yeah, maybe you can get in, maybe you cannot get in. That's one of the matters that you should not be concerned about that much because you are mere fourth semesters, right? You need to upskill yourself. You need to study a lot. I understand there's no motivation. Why should I study? What am I building, or why am I studying this, or why am I studying that? I do not see a clear future. But as I said for say for example in my line only, say if I say in computers in web development, I see a lot of products that can be you know, potential market products. Think about this. What? How can you do? How can you go about those products? And think about. So suppose if somebody is interested in data analytics. So the whole COVID situation is a beautiful data model that you can analyze, right? Like where are the numbers going up, and what should be the prediction? Like where the numbers will be going up next, and where the curve will be flat. There are a lot of data sources which you can contact and use those data sources. There is a lot of opportunity that you can use. Also, there is another thing, like for example, if I say Abhinav said that he is a front end developer, what you can do is, and you have got this amazing recording platform, what you can do is say read JavaScript, right? And uh, make courses on JavaScript, such which will help you understanding JavaScript more on your personal level and learning more, and also you will be teaching a lot of people, isn't it? So these can be the things that you can think about. You can go about these things, right? So yeah, a lot of things, a lot of opportunities.
Yes. Adit, do you want to ask some question?
Okay, sir. So I'm a web developer from past 4 years. Earlier, I used LAMP stack, and now I'm working on mean stack. A lot of times, the
Okay.
aspiring developers ask me this question: that what technology should they use for backend and frontend? And I end up telling them the pros and cons of all the backend and frontend technologies, as every tech has their pros and cons. So, what are your suggestions on this question, which a lot of aspiring developers are confused with?
So for frankly, like I have taken interviews of freshers and maybe you know experienced people. So if I come to college, I would absolutely expecting that none of all of you guys are knowing nothing about lamp stack or mean stack. I would not expect that you know this term lamp stack or mean stack. Right? So none of these technologies actually matter. If you have worked on any of this technology, you are way ahead of your what 85% of peers, right? Because people like I came to know about lamp stack and mean stack what 1.5 years, 2 years ago. You being in second year, if you know about this and you have worked upon this, you are already ahead of it. Talking about the backend technologies, what to use again depends upon the application you are using. For suppose if you are using a high security application, maybe you can use Java or Spring security. You can use Python. Strictly depends upon the application. You know, so it does not matter what if you are proficient in one language or the other. If you have coded in one language, I guess it will be more or less similar to be coding in the other languages. And if you are looking for going for your startup and all, and then you are thinking about what language you should use, then you need to research like what is your startup about. Is it a lot about security? It is a lot about financing, banking? Depends upon that, right? There is a huge forum outside of us web developers where you can talk to the people and come to a valid conclusion.
Okay, I have this question like in if if from a perspective of a web developer, like if someone is working on React and then he has to shift to Angular, so that is something like it is more easier as compared to shifting from Django to Node, or from Node to Spring. Like in backend the technologies are quite different. So if one is a working professional, then if he wants to switch his job, like presently he would be working with Node, and then he want to apply for a job where they require a Django developer, then like in that scenario,
You're asking how difficult is it to change between technologies and how can
yeah,
you go for another technology, right? So it's again a process. It's an iterative process, right? So if I am working in Java and maybe an Angular JS, right? So I cannot go and give an interview for React JS until unless I have done some. If you are talking about corporate scenario, if until unless I have worked on React on some, how to say, freelancing level, right? If I have worked on some freelancing level, obviously I have a lot more knowledge in React. So again, but if you want to learn React and you are seeing some React opportunities in some other companies, but in that company you also need to search for maybe a Java or Angular. So you switch to that company or maybe switch to that team in your company with your expertise, and then learn React, and then go to some other company on the basis of React. That's how the process goes.
so means it never stops to learn. Like we have to
No, no,
keep
no. Yeah,
gradually learning.
in our industry, if you are stopping learning, so it's 1 month you have not read something new, you're already outdated.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
you need to study.
So I think we had a really, really great chat with Abhishek, and I really enjoyed. How about you, Abhinav?
Yeah, yeah, it was really amazing. We got many of our dilemmas cleared. So
And the best part was the funny stories and all things were relatable. Like for me, it was totally relatable. So I really loved this conversation, and I hope
Sure.
the experience was good for you also, Abhishek.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love to connect with you guys. Always love to connect with my juniors. Uh, Catch me up anytime. I'm on LinkedIn. We, as alumni of KIT and also future software engineers, and you guys, we should always think about collaborating and building something, because at the end of the day, we are engineers. Let's
True.
do something productive, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. So let's see you all in the next Gupshup episode. Till then, stay tuned, be happy, stay safe. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Okay.